For a while I have been thinking of making informative videos. It took me a while to convince myself. So here we go, this will be my first video and I hope it continues. I want to start by bringing to the forefront a language which has been often ignored by many and is at the verge of extinction. Domaki is one of the 26 endangered languages of Pakistan which will disappear if drastic measures are not taken. A brief disclaimer, the ethnic group which speaks Domaki prefers to call itself as Dawoodi Dom. They associate themselves with Prophet David for his inventive musical skills. Dawoodi Dom have worked as musicians and blacksmiths for centuries in the area. The ethnic group does not have a formal or legal name. Throughout history they have been referred to as different names, some of very derogatory connotations. Domaki is one of the declining languages of Pakistan in Gilgit Baltistan region. It originally belonged to a Central Group of Indo-Aryan languages somewhere south of Kashmir. It is currently spoken in two slightly different forms or dialects by less than 350 souls in two mountain villages of Mominabad and Domyal, respectively in the Hunza district and Gilgit district of Gilgit Baltistan. Many scholars have suggested that after a few generations the proper Domaki language will have entirely disappeared without leaving any detectable trace on the neighboring Burushaski and Shina. Additionally, the foreign origin of Doms will also be forgotten. Although Domaki has observed some of the elements of the Dardic languages with which it has come in contact, as well as many words and phonological elements of Burushaski, it is not itself a Dardic language. In spite of the heavy influence of Burushaski and Shina on the vocabulary and phonology of Domaki, they have had little effect on its grammar. Budrus states that Domaki has a characteristic morphology and syntax of its own, hardly influenced by the neighboring languages. Moreover, it is believed that Domaki is related to Domari, spoken by older Dom people scattered across the Middle East. The language is reported to be spoken as far north as Azerbaijan and as far south as Central Sudan. In Turkey, Israel, Palestine, Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon. Based on the systemicity of sound changes, linguists with a fair degree of certainty state that the names Domari and Romani derive from the Indian word Dom. Domari is also known as Middle Eastern Romani, Sigini, Luti, Mathar. Another challenge faced by the language is that there is no standard written form. How does a language die? Language loss is often not voluntary. It frequently involves violation of human rights, pushed by repression, oppression, prejudice, violence, and at times by ethnic cleansing and genocide. Language and culture go hand in hand. According to Alidad, the dilemma faced by Domaki speakers in the Gilgit Baltistan region is that if they rely on the traditional structure of society, they must remain vulnerable to the exploitation of society based on their historical social exclusion. On the other hand, modernity deprives Domaki speakers of their identity. If they will adopt Burushaski or Shina, which at least gives them human dignity and freedom to communicate with majority, which are things they have been long denied. That is why many of them prefer to live with honor, sense, identity in modern structures, rather than living in a tradition that has kept them in disdain for centuries. Historically, there was a complete disconnect between the traditional power structure and the Domaki speaker, as they were not given equal status in the society, which to an extent has still continued today. It is important for us to be aware of the impact of external controllable factors on the loss of not just a language but a valuable culture of people. It is a matter of what is right and what is wrong. Child speakers of Domaki are not enough to ensure the survival of the languages. They learn different languages to assimilate themselves with dominant languages. of the area, it is still important to connect to their roots of Domaki language. Currently, there is no single organization, either from the government or NGO sector, that is working to save the Domaki language. One of the effective strategies here is the establishment of local research center for Dawoodi Dom, where speakers of endangered language will be trained to study, document, and archive their own language materials. Literacy is useful to the teaching and learning of such languages, in addition to historically understanding the culture and influence of the Domaki language and peoples in surrounding land.